episode 21 of the Leen Show, and there's a killer on the loose. He's caught. They, gender neutral, they have two bodies on their hands, two confirmed deaths. And I don't mean to make light about this, but the Panera Bread charged lemonade has claimed a second victim, and it needs to be stopped.
Insane. I actually haven't heard about this somehow.
Yeah, so not to start the episode, it's kind of funny, but yeah, real people have died. You know, like any war, like 'cause we're in a war right now with Panera Bread, and any war is going to have its casualties, unfortunately. But this has kind of been a thing on the internet for about a year or so. I wish I pulled it up, but it's not a big deal that I didn't. I can just explain it. About a year ago, this TikTok of this girl blew up.
Sure.
We're just getting right into it. All right. No funny business today. All right. So about a year ago, a woman in her, I don't know, 20s, posted a video saying like, hey, I work from home, but I like choose to work from home at a Panera Bread because I don't want to work at my house. So this woman like goes to Panera Bread to like do remote work. And she said she would go there and she would get the charged lemonade, the mango zitsu flavor. I think is what there's 3 flavors of it. The mango flavor of the charged lemonade. And she would go there, and it's free refills at Panera Bread if you've never been in there, which don't. But she would have like 4 or 5 charged lemonades every day. And she would be like, why do I feel like the Hulk when I drink these? Like she's like so productive, so on it, has insane energy whenever she's drinking these. And she was like, yeah, they're great. So one day, her and her husband are driving, and she's like, I want a Panera lemonade. So they go through the drive-thru, and her husband is type 1 diabetic, which I believe is the genetic one, not the other one, right? So, he's like very careful about his blood sugar or whatever. So he wants to like have some of the lemonade. So he looks up the nutritional facts so he can like balance his blood sugar. And what he found was, I'm not going to say the exact numbers because they're in the article we're about to read, but there is 82 I just remembered that whatever. There's 82 grams of sugar in one serving of a medium cup of this lemonade. And also 260 milligrams of caffeine in the medium, in one serving of the medium. And this girl would drink like 4 or 5 a day. So she was consuming about 400 grams of sugar and about 1,000 to 1,200 grams of caffeine every day in this lemonade.
Do we know like
that they just give to people?
Compare that to like a cup of coffee. So I have like a range. Like how many grams of caffeine are in like a normal cup of coffee? And how much is in
like
a medium
60.
lemonade? Wow. Okay.
260. In an energy drink, the highest caffeine content in an energy drink I've ever seen is Reign, and it's 300. But you're recommended you drink like one of those a day. Monsters have, I think, like 150-ish. Ghosts and C4 have 200. So that's like the most. But like that is like you buy a can of it or like the scoop and serve, whatever. But if you read the labels, it's like, please God, do not drink more than one of these. Oh my God, you will die, right? But Panera, it's like free refills, and you don't, they don't tell you the nutritional facts when you buy it. Anyway, so I saw that TikTok about a year ago, and it's been on my mind a little bit. It's been kind of like a little meme on the internet. But now, and we'll just go straight into the article from that setup. This is from NBCnews.com. Panera Bread's charged lemonade blamed for a second death, lawsuit alleges. Dennis Brown, 46, drank 3 of the highly caffeinated beverages before suffering a cardiac arrest in October, according to the suit. So, Panera Bread's highly caffeinated charged lemonade is now blamed for a second death, according to a lawsuit filed Monday. So they're being sued over this, rightfully so. Dennis Brown of Fleming Island, Florida, drank 3 charged lemonades from a local Panera on October 9th and then suffered a fatal cardiac arrest on his way home. The lawsuit was filed on behalf of Brown's mother, sister, and brother less than 2 months after Panera was hit with a separate lawsuit regarding Sarah Katz, an Ivy League student with a heart condition who died in September of 2022 after she drank a charged lemonade. That lawsuit, first reported by NBC News, called the beverage a, quote, dangerous energy drink and argued that Panera failed to appropriately warn consumers about its ingredients, which include the stimulant guarana extract.
Okay.
That's a little above my pay grade. But Panera has advertised its charged lemonade as, quote, plant-based. So vegans, if you want to die too, this is probably your easiest way. Plant-based and clean with as much caffeine as our dark roast coffee.
Sure.
They didn't say how much of the
Right.
dark roast coffee, you know? At 390 milligrams of caffeine in a large, 30 fluid ounce charged lemonade has more caffeine in total than any size of any of Panera's dark roast coffee, the legal complaint says. So they
Sounds
just
like it.
lied. Just like, hey, you know? It's like, that's something that you can just like say and be like, it doesn't have more caffeine than a cup of coffee. And they're like, yeah, it does. And they're just like,
Right.
okay, what are you going to do about it, tough guy? The Food and Drug Administration says healthy adults can safely consume 400 milligrams of caffeine a day. And that's a lot. That doesn't mean without drawbacks, because caffeine is a drug, not really too dissimilar from like nicotine or other things. 400 is a lot. You're going to have like insane caffeine headaches if you don't consume that much and your body's used to it, whatever. That's beside the point. You like, and I have like a gift card from Panera I've had for like a year that like somebody gave me, and then I used like one time and got like some terrible meal, and I'm like, dude, who the fuck? It was like $16. I got like a sandwich that was like cold and hard.
Right.
I got a piece of bread that broke a tooth, and you know, some frozen mac and cheese for like $16, right? But I still had some on that gift card, so I was gonna actually drink a charged lemonade throughout the show and see if that would affect my performance or not. I you know, for my own safety, I decided against that. So yeah, Brown had consumed charged lemonades in the days leading up to his death, according to Monday's wrongful death lawsuit, which was filed in Delaware, where Panera's fucking Delaware, dude. Why is Panera incorporated in Delaware? I know why, but like, yeah, well, because Delaware has like insane tax laws. That's why. There's a lot of LLCs that are based in Delaware, but that's just hilarious. Like, just there's no hiding what this is. Their mission isn't to like give great food to people. It's like to drain average American, really average white Americans who are like, oh wait, you're gonna sell me a sandwich with no flavor and no seasoning and some frozen mac and cheese? Yeah, I'll pay $17 for that. It's just, you know, it's all about making money. Brown's cause of death was cardiac arrest due to hypertensive disease, according to a death certificate provided to NBC News by Elizabeth Crawford, a partner at the Philadelphia. Okay, who cares? Panera said that it expressed, quote, our deep sympathy for Mr. Brown's family, and that it stood by the safety of its products. Quote, I mean, what are they going to do? If they weren't in a lawsuit, they probably would have already pulled it. But now they're like, hey, actually, it's your fault, right? Based on our investigation, we believe his unfortunate passing was not caused by one of the company's products. We view this lawsuit, which was filed by the same law firm as a previous claim, to be equally without merit. Panera stands firmly by the safety of our products.
Stand.
And then this is a quote from the chief marketing officer. We have sent Brown's family a $25 Panera gift card.
You're joking. Okay. I was gonna say no effing way, dude.
No,
my god. I believed that before you even finished the sentence. I was like, my jaw dropped. I believed that.
At his funeral, we provided 2 loaves of our shitty bread. That's what we did. Yeah, so and the rest of it's just kind of talking about the man who unfortunately passed away. His name was Dennis Brown. And yeah, you know, there's a killer on the loose. And, you know, he's not the Scranton Strangler. You know, he's not Ted Bundy. You know, he's not Jeffrey Dahmer. But they might be just as sinister. Right? You know, the same way that Ted Bundy would like lure in, you know, college-aged, attractive, whatever, college-age or not, just the way he would seduce women and then just do what he did. Panera seduces white people. So really this is just, you know, like if you're white, watch your back. You know, like don't listen to the advertising, right? You might go, oh, there's a blood
Yeah.
orange charged
Yeah.
lemonade. I like blood orange. You know, don't
Yeah.
listen to their lies
Yeah,
because it's
so
just as
this is funny. I
sinister.
have a couple of questions. One, thank you for bringing up the Scrooge Strangler. That made my day. That's hilarious. So I guess my first question is, what is the purpose of creating a drink like this? It can't possibly cost that much money. What is the purpose of having a drink that's this caffeinated? I have actually never even heard of a charged lemonade. And it's like, the concept of like bars that have like spicy popcorn or like pretzels for free at the table, because it's like, hey, we're going to provide you with like free salty popcorn so that your mouth gets really dry and you buy drinks, right? So like, we're going to do this so that you spend more money with us. How is making an extremely over the top caffeinated lemonade benefiting their business? Like what, like I just don't even get the point in the first place of having a drink like this. Like, is it wildly popular and I'm just like out of the loop? Like what's the point?
The point is, like, the nutritional facts don't matter. And so they just tried to, they had an idea of what they wanted it to be, which was like, hey, wait a minute. No one's going to look at the actual facts of this, right? Why do you think Coca-Cola has like 50 grams of sugar in like a bottle, right? It's because no one's going to actually look at that and be like, oh my God, 50 grams? They're going to go, there's something about this Coca-Cola that just keeps bringing me back. I don't know what it is.
Right.
It must be the secret formula, right? It's the secret formula. No,
So
it's
true.
it's like you're addicted to sugar, and it's like 55 grams of sugar in it or whatever it is, right? Same thing, with like, and then you drink Diet Coke, and it's like, oh, it's diet. And it's like,
and
well, you're just addicted to aspartame.
And it's arguably worse for you.
It's the same thing, though. It is arguably worse for you. I mean, they're both very bad. This kind of like what you talk about how America tries to kill you, right? This is kind of just like it's just kind of part of that. Is like I think they there's no system in place to hold them accountable unless it literally starts killing people, which is like when the Panera executives they got they got in their boardroom probably catered very nice, no Panera food because they don't eat that crap, right? They they get like maybe like they're they're based in Delaware, okay, fine, but let's say like, oh, we got an office in New York, right? Imagine 9 a.m. meeting, you come in, you got fresh bagels, some lox, cream cheese, got some very nice artisanal coffee, maybe like an espresso machine. They all sit down. They're all like, hey, how was your weekend in the Hamptons? Oh, it was great. Got to see the family, finally got to use that house we've had in Montauk for years, like we just never get to go there. Anyway, so what's this meeting about? Oh, our charged lemonade killed another guy.
Right.
Okay. Well, we'll figure that out. And then they just talk very calmly. They're like, well, what do we do? Well, we just have to say that it was his heart's fault for not being able to handle the charged lemonade.
Well, it is interesting because both these people had pre-existing conditions, right? I'm like, this is giving flashbacks to like COVID. They're like, oh, like COVID only killed them because they had pre-existing conditions, right? Like, oh, they were obese, or oh, they were diabetic, or oh, they used an inhaler, so like that's why COVID killed them because they had pre-existing. So both of these people, right? Like one had a heart condition, and then what did the other one have? Right. So
also an underlying heart condition.
Oh my God, I'm like,
both heart conditions. Because they're drinking mango flavored cocaine. That's why.
Right now. Why am I like leaning to Panera's side on this? I'm like, what are you doing out here with a heart condition, drinking a drink like this? But the other side of that coin is, were they not? They just weren't aware of the caffeine amount in it, right? So it's
how could you possibly know how much caffeine is in that?
Yeah, and there's no like FDA regulations around how much caffeine can go into a single drink. Not that we know of. Okay.
No. There's nothing. I mean, no, it's like if you're just an average person, you're like, I like mango. I'll have a glass of lemonade. And then you drink it and it's like there's like such like a comical amount of caffeine and sugar that your body, I mean, it's like literally like you're on a drug. It's like going on a drug trip drinking this lemonade, I'm sure. And it's like, your body's like, oh my God, I haven't felt this great in years. It's like the same, like your body goes through like a drug high and low, right? You know, 'cause that's what it is because like the truth is like when they're, you know, when the, you know, the crack, you know, the not the crack, you know, whatever, the like the great food makers of Panera, right? The chefs, you know, the mixologists who make these drinks, like they get orders from the corporate office being like, hey, you know, we've done some market research and we think we want to have like a caffeinated lemonade for people who don't drink coffee, right? And they're like, we want it to taste really good and we want it to give you a lot of energy. And beyond that, we do not give a single fuck about what's in it, anything else. We don't care. We just want like a caffeinated lemonade for non-coffee drinkers. And it goes back to the TikTok of the original girl that blew up and kind of brought attention to this. She said like, I don't drink coffee. Right. I like, you know, little sugary drinks. That's what I thought this was. I mean, 260 grams or milligrams of caffeine and 82 grams of sugar is it's comical. It's like if you were like, if Lex Luthor ran, you know, if like a supervillain ran Panera, be like, I know what'll get him. I'm gonna give him the lemonade that will literally kill you. You know, it's like when you go on a, you know, when you buy a pack of cigarettes, it's like, hey bud, if you're pregnant, right, you probably shouldn't smoke these, right? It's like, hey, if you're pregnant or like if you have asthma, heart condition, maybe this one's not for you. Like go on a roller coaster, a crazy roller coaster, or like a thrill ride. Hey, bud, your heart might not be able to handle this, right? You think like the stoned 16-year-olds that are serving charged lemonades are gonna be like, sir, can you fill out this this liability waiver so that Panera isn't liable for your death if you drink too many charged lemonades? Also, free refills, right? That's the other thing. Is like if it's limit one per person, you know, because that's the thing that like bars do. When they have like a crazy drink, like, oh my god, you have to get the blue hole, right? Shout out Always Sunny, whatever. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's from Always Sunny. It's like whatever. It's like, you know, when millennial bars do like the specialty drinks, like, oh, the snake pit, and it's like 64 ounces, and it's like green, and it's got like a million different. It's like a Long Island iced tea with like blue carousel, basically. That's like all it is. And it's like, oh, but you can only have 2 of them, you know? Like, that's more responsible than what this is. This is like, I mean, you know, I'm not, well, if Panera made good food, maybe I would be more on their side. Because it's like, you know, listen, I'm all for, like, protecting corporations. I'm all for letting them do whatever they want because, you know, I would like them to pay me to do things, right? But, like, at the same time, it would have to be a really good offer for me to endorse the charged lemonade in a commercial or an ad, you know? Right. It would have to be the right price. I'm not saying I wouldn't do it. Hey, guys, I'm Lee South from the Leen Show, and whenever I need a pick-me-up, I go for the lemonade that kills people. It's called the charged lemonade, and I go for the large because I know my heart can take it,
like,
but yours probably
can't. Don't like coffee?
Can't.
Well, we got something for you.
You know?
But that's the thing. It's like, what, again, I'm like struggling to understand. It just seems really, really, really over the top. Like, I totally get the marketing. I totally get the branding of like, hey, we're Panera. We get it. We've been a coffee shop for a really long time. Also want to mention, like, they've done some rebranding in the past couple of years. They sell pizza now. Who would have thought? Like, they started off as like a pretty much like coffee shop vibe, right? They did pastries, they did bagels, they did coffee, and they had like a couple soups and sandwiches. Like a little rainy day, you know, it's just a rainy day, or I'm studying with my friends, or maybe I have a Bible study class. Let's go over to Panera so we can get a coffee, we can get a little scone, whatever. Now it's like, same thing with Dunkin'. They're like, hey guys, we do more than coffee. We've got effing pizza now. But it's like, I get the branding of, hey, we understand that not everybody likes coffee. But why go so overboard with the caffeine? Like, was the intent to get people, like, addicted to it? So it's like, oh, like, is that a thing? Like, are people all over the place, like the frickin' pinkity drinkity at Starbucks, being like, oh my god, like, I gotta get my pink drink, I gotta get my lemonade charged. Like, are there people out there like that? Like, why go this deep just because they can? Like, what was the point?
I'm sure they are. The answer is because they can. Because Panera and Dunkin', all these, they're all run by a bunch of fucking Kendall Roys being like, hey guys, we're gonna revolutionize the industry. All right, like we're gonna, like if Panera Bread started like a media production company and they're like, we're gonna start making films with Panera. If they try to create like the Panera cinematic universe after this, right? Then that wouldn't surprise me, because all these people making the decisions, whether they are actually like old or young, they're all just like trying to chase like big. They're always trying to expand. It's never enough. That's the whole point, right? It's never enough. When you reach a certain point of wealth and a certain point of success, like 99.9% of people, it doesn't just turn off. It's a switch, but the switch is broken and you can't turn it off. The switch is like, you always have to expand. You always got to have new products. You always got to have more stores. You always got to go bigger. You got to go bigger. And, I think they just flew a little bit too close to the sun. They're like, hey, what if we tap into this industry, which is like people who don't like coffee but would like caffeine, and maybe they drink energy drinks. And so we give them like the charged lemonade, like it's an energy drink. Hey, it gives you energy. It doesn't matter what's inside of it, because no one's paying attention. And no one would pay attention if it literally didn't kill 2 people, right? That's the other thing. No one would know these facts if it didn't literally kill 2 people.
And I think there's also like a lot of pressure these days, like energy drink wise. Like it makes me think of like those Celsius drinks that are like, so I mean, Celsius is just one brand. I mean, I'm sure there's like a dozen other brands, but it seems to be like kind of the hype these days, right? Like Monsters have always been around, right? That Rain drink, those drinks have always been around. But I feel like they have maybe a little tougher of a time, because at least when I was a kid, I feel like left and right people were like, do not drink Monster. Do not drink Monster. It's terrible for you. It's horrible. It'll give you a heart attack. And then it's like in the past year, there's been all of these like you said, oh, it's organic, it's vegan, it's healthy, it's natural energy. It's not. It's not. Like the Celsius drinks per se. Like I'm like I'm one of those kids where my mom, shout out to my mom, scared me scared me away from all of these drinks. Like I've never had a Monster, I've never had a Celsius. Like that's just not my thing, because I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna end up in the hospital. But like I feel like there's probably a lot of pressure for like restaurants, these these brands, not merchandising, these brands, to come out with something like this, because it's like that's the rave. Like Celsius, like natural vegan energy drinks are like all the rave these days. Like people can't just drink coffee, you know what I mean? Like go on a run. Like I don't get it.
If you're looking at it cynically, you could say that people need more energy to work like either a really shitty hard job or multiple jobs to even survive. And so they basically, like, one thing that we kind of do is we give people like little treats throughout the day, like, hey, you make $40,000 a year and like you are like, you like are in charge of like 20 people's well-being. And then like the person above you makes like 100,000, but you'll never get their job because you're, for whatever reason, right? But hey, go get, get a chocolate chip cookie at Subway on us. If you buy a foot long, we'll give you a cookie, And it's like, this is kind of what that is, where it's like, hey, don't you think you deserve a charged lemonade? Don't you think, hey, you work hard. Don't you think you deserve a little treat, a little charged lemonade? It won't kill you.
Until it does.
Probably. It's like, they've really like fast tracked that whole thing, because Coca-Cola will kill you in like 40, 50 years, maybe, There are like old people who like love Coca-Cola and Dr. Pepper or whatever. They're anomalies. But it's like, that'll kill you over decades. This will kill you in like 30 minutes, right? I think they got a little too excited with, maybe they're drinking charged lemonades. They're like, hey guys, we gotta up it. Right. We gotta go. We need more. It's funny you said that about
Coke. My dad's a big Coke drinker, and like one of his quotes that I love is he's like, oh, I just coat. He's like, I coat my insides with Coca-Cola, and like that's like his like claim to fame of like staying healthy. Is he's like, the Coca-Cola goes into my body and it just wrecks all of the germs, it wrecks all of the bad things, and like that's why I'm like such a healthy guy, because my dad is a really healthy guy. Brings me back to like, I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but like, have you ever heard of people that are like, have you ever seen what a Coca-Cola will do to your car battery? And they're like, like they're like, oh yeah, like you dump a Coca-Cola
Yeah.
on a battery and like it takes away, it's like corrosive or something, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like there's so much stuff in Coke that it can literally like clean like a car battery. Like that's like my dad's like logic for drinking Coke. He's like, oh yeah, it just goes into my body and like cleans it up. It's like hilarious. But one time when I was a kid, he did like to show us how bad Coke was, he measured out like 50 grams of sugar or whatever it is that's in one single can of Coca-Cola. And like we took like our container of sugar and we scooped out, like all of us, like at the kitchen table. And like we scooped out so we could visually see how much sugar goes into one Coca-Cola. It is pretty crazy. Like it is actually a pretty crazy exercise if you do that. So it's like, that's one Coca-Cola. I can't imagine, like, I think it was like at least like a paper plate coated and then like a little tiny mountain of sugar. I can't imagine what that visual is for this drink with what, how many grams? 80 grams of sugar, you said? 82? Like,
80,
I
82
mean,
and a
I wouldn't be
medium.
surprised if that's like almost a cereal bowl full of sugar, which is really crazy to visualize.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Right.
another thing is, start them young. Give your 7-year-old a bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and they'll run around their first grade classroom like they're a madman for an hour, and then they'll crash, and then they'll come down. But then they eat that every single day,
Right.
and they're like, damn, this sugar stuff's pretty fire. And then they start drinking
So
soda
true.
and energy drinks when they're in high school, and then creates a lifelong habit of like, yeah, I'll have a
Not
Snickers bar. Yeah, why not? Oh, I didn't eat lunch today, but I'll drink a
Yeah.
Dr. Pepper and have
Ugh.
a couple cookies.
I do
That'll
love a good
get me
Dr.
going.
Pepper. So circling back to the lawsuit. So what's Panera's stance, right? Like you said, they're saying, oh, hey, these people had pre-existing conditions, like it's their fault. Like what's going to be?
They said their stance. They said it was in the article. I exited out, but no, their response
And?
was like,
Right? Like they're
Got
going to
nothing
keep
to do
selling
with
them for sure. Like they're going to keep selling them for sure.
they said, oh yeah, they said the quote was like, our product had nothing to do with that. It was their time. That's what they're saying. Quote, it was their time. Like, oh yeah, this Ivy League college student who had a pre-existing heart condition who was killed by one of your drinks is like,
Yeah, our first ever female
That was gonna
president
happen
just
anyway.
died. She in 20 years from now, she was going to be our first female president, and unfortunately, due to the negligence at Panera. And I'm like,
Yeah.
so this is making me think, if I'm a lawyer, I'm curious, how did this play out in court, right? Like, how do you, if you're the prosecuting attorney, like, how are you spinning this in court? Like, you've got to go down all of those avenues of everything that this woman could have possibly done with her life. Like, it's almost like when someone gets in a really bad car accident, and they're like, oh, I need $10 million because that would have been my potential, like that would have been my earning potential, right? Like I have X, Y, and Z, so I have the opportunity to make $10 million in my life. So you owe me $10 million because I can't work anymore. Like, what is this attorney going to be going after Panera for? Money? Like what? Like what's gonna
It'll
happen?
never make it to
They'll
court.
settle? For how much?
oh yeah. Of course they're gonna settle. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like they have a blank check, where it's because that's not a legal argument. Of course they would lose that lawsuit. That's not the point. The point is the
Sure.
point is admit nothing, deny everything.
Right.
Right. That's the point. The point is they're not gonna tell the truth unless Uncle Sam has a gun to their head, being like, hey, you have to tell the truth
Right.
now because you're under oath and we're in court.
And it's like
It'll
there's
never-
no
it'll
way
never
that
go that far.
they're probably not going to adjust the recipe either, right? Like literally, like nothing is. It sounds like nothing's going to come out of this. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not like they're going to go back and they're not going to stop selling the lemonades, right? Like I'm guessing that they're still selling them.
No, the only thing that's going to stop them is severe public backlash. But the problem is the public is like, you're going to take away the charged lemonade? It's kind of fire though. They're like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
I'm addicted to sugar and caffeine.
I mean, I think it goes back
it's
to like
pretty
what we
good.
talk about all the
you know?
time. Like the problem with America is like
It'll
we
never-
know what's in what we're eating and drinking. We know, like you said with cigarettes, it's on the label. Like we fully understand what we're putting into our bodies, and we do it anyway. And that's what it means to be an American. Like, that's truly like that. That's the American dream, right? Doing whatever you want, knowing that something's bad for you, and putting it in your body anyway, because that's free will, right? That's what freedom's for. That's what these men died on the battlefield for.
You
so that
can
we could go drink our charged lemonades every day if we want to.
You can either like eat McDonald's and drink Coca-Cola or be a communist. You have two choices in America, you know? You can be a liberal cuck commie, or you can be slowly poisoned by like the food and drinks of the country. You have two choices. Congratulations. You have two choices. In a world of so few choices, at least you get a choice,
the choice.
You know?
It's up to you.
The choice. Yeah, I mean, like, you know, is Panera going to have to, like, face the consequences of, like, killing an Ivy League student who maybe one day would have grown up to be the CEO of Panera? I don't know. You know, that's something that, you know, they're going to have to deal with every single day for the rest of their life.
And the thing is,
you know?
Sorry, go ahead.
But, you know, it's a lot easier to deal with that, you know, when you're at your summer house in Martha's Vineyard at a white party. It's a lot easier to face that reality when that is your reality. And
Panera's one of those companies, like I said, like Dunkin', where they're not going anywhere. People are going to keep going, and they're going to keep drinking their crappy coffee, and they're going to keep eating their crappy food because it's easy and it's convenient, and they're, you know, they happen to be located next to the mall, right? Like, they put them in convenient locations. They're next to hospitals, they're next to malls, they're next to schools. Like, it's just easy. It's convenient. I will say, I do enjoy the Cinnamon Crunch Bagel. They got a Cinnamon Crunch Bagel. My sister went the other day. Shout out Mary Bennett. She sent me a picture of it. And it was funny. And that's the thing. She sent me a picture of it because she knew I'd be like, damn, you went to Panera? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not everybody. Not most people aren't a fan. But I will say, their Cinnamon Crunch Bagel is pretty decent. Like, it's pretty freaking good. And that's like the one thing there that, like, I will eat. You disagree?
Okay, fair enough. I mean, it's like, I've never had it, but I think for the most part, like, most of their carb based, like, most of their bread and stuff is dog shit. It's terrible. Like, the fact that they built an empire on hard cold bread is one of the greatest mysteries of American history.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
It's amazing because it's like, I swear,
it.
like, one of their menu offerings is, okay, they do the pick two, right? Like, a lot of restaurants do that. So it's like, you pick two and you get half a sandwich, half a salad, or half a sandwich and a cup of soup. There's a pick two at Panera where you can get half a sandwich, you can get a bread bowl, which is, I'm sure you guys know what it is, but if you don't, it is a entire loaf of bread that is hollowed out, and then basically mac and cheese is put in there. Most people get mac and cheese. Some people get broccoli and cheddar soup, which is just melted cheese anyway. So you get a pick two, and you get half of a sandwich. You get a bread bowl that's already bread, and then you know what they do on top of that? What's in your to-go bag? Another piece of bread.
Because they can't sell it because it's so bad, but they make so much of it. They're like, please
Everything
take
comes
this bread,
with a side
right?
of bread. Here's a piece of bread with a side.
I mean, like, they'll have homeless people walk in there like, please, can you give me a meal? They're like, yes, sir. Absolutely. We'll give you half a loaf of bread. And they're like, anything but that. Not that. You got, you know, like, can I just get like a cup of broccoli cheddar soup, right? Can you just give me a bacon turkey bravo, please? Like, I don't have the money. I'm so sorry. I'm starving. But I won't even go that low. No, thank you. I'm good on the bread. Right?
Yeah, it is.
That's just the truth.
Man, that's funny.
Reality.
It's a good story, honestly. I mean, it's sad. I feel bad for those families. I mean, tragic. But, like we said, it doesn't sound like anything's going to be done about it. They're going to continue to serve bread with bread with bread. It's in the name. Panera bread.
The only thing that changes, you know, that causes true change in this country is social media hate. And unfortunately for them, social media thinks it's kind of funny.
Right.
So they're not going to change anything, right? Nothing's going to change because it's funny. I mean, like, going back to Santos, if the internet had control of what Santos, like, what, because that's a different thing, right? Because, like, he actually committed a crime. What? Oh, you stole some money, whatever. Now he's on Cameo paying all his legal fees. But Yeah, there's a lot of good ones. There's a TikTok, I believe it's called Georgie's Cameos, and it's just one account that compiles every single cameo. Like, I think people just buy cameos from him and then DM them the
That's
video.
probably
and
what
they
I was
post
sending
it.
you
There's a lot of
like
good ones on
yesterday.
there.
I was sending you a bunch of those.
But
nice.
yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, I saw one today, and it was like, Christy, congratulations on successfully putting your dead husband's soul into a mannequin.
Oh my god, you gotta send me that one.
Yeah. It was like, you guys are never gonna be like, you'll never be alone now. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
I'm so
I saw the
happy
one where he was
for
like,
you.
people ask if you
one.
do the voice better than me, but he's like, people ask if Botox works. You guys see my eyebrows right here? This is Botox in action. And I was like, dude, you look terrible. You literally look like one of those old-fashioned like puppets. Like literally, he looks like one of those like glass, like glossy, like creepy puppets from like a ventriloquist store. Is literally like what he looks like.
Yeah, yeah. Remember, boys and girls,
God.
two genders.
Honestly, they're hilarious though.
Which, like, that video's so funny because it was when he was still in Congress, but like no one knows what side he was on that, because like the sign, it's like a video. It's like Santos, he's speaking in front of this sign that says like something something something. There are only two genders, and he's like walks up and he's like, he gets like his whatever intern to be like, come film me real quick. And he films, he's like, remember, boys and girls, two genders. And he goes like,
yeah.
He does like a Sonic, like that. But like the way he says it, because it's not his sign, it's Marjorie Taylor Greene's sign. She famously has that sign posted outside of her office in Congress and has for like she's a congresswoman from Georgia, Republican. And she, so he like just walked up, but like no one, like, it's impossible to tell what side he's on in that. Is he like, because it's the exact same tone as if he would be making fun of it, but also his politics might be like, well, there are, and that's just how he talks. No one knows. It's so funny. Like that one clip, no one knows if he's just like mocking it or if he's like, because also like one of the things that we could talk about Santos for another hour, but we won't, because we have some very important business to attend to after this. But we like, or the way he says it, it's just literally like, no, sorry, that's what I was saying. Was like one of the things that came out that like in that whole controversy, like where everyone's uncovering all his lies, was like he did drag shows in Brazil in like the mid 2000s. So wouldn't it be kind of weird? And I get it, like politics, you're playing the game, whatever, you have to say certain things. But it's like, wouldn't it be funny if he was like a literal drag queen for years? And then in 2023, he's like, well, there are only two genders, right? I mean, men have to be men and women have to be women, right? Women are in the kitchen and men go to work in the mines. That's how society, like, you know how wild that would be for him to make that 180 turn knowing what was in his past?
But I will say,
it's just wild.
I can say this with 100% confidence. George Santos 100,000% eats at Panera Bread. Can we agree on that? Like, there's no way he doesn't. Like, there's no way. Oh, dude.
He's a New Yorker. No way. He's a New Yorker.
He totally does. He totally does. I don't know.
Why do you think he eats a Panera Bread?
He's got that kind of like, that kind of, I can't think of the word. I guess I have no argument. I take it back. I thought it was funny, but
I mean, like,
I don't if that one.
I'm just saying, like, if we agree that Panera is like a bad bakery, imagine living in New York City and willingly eating at Panera Bread, because that's like what that was my only thing.
People just order it the next day when they're hungover. They get it Uber Eats, and Panera has their own delivery service. Because I used to get it in college sometimes. Like me and Reed would get it like after like going out and drinking. We'd get Panera like delivered to the door because like they're one of the only places that'll like deliver it to your door, and it's cheaper than going through Uber. Like there's some closet. That's what I'm saying, man. There's some closeted Panera people out there, and he's probably one of them. Let's
just assume that with 2 wrongful death lawsuits, the Panera charge lemonade isn't long for this world. Or at least, like, we'll get, like, like the Four Loko story where, like, the formula was way different in, like, the mid-2000s. And it, like, same thing with, I think 3D. It's, like, an old, like, energy pre-workout, whatever. They're going to change the formula because it's too powerful, right? You know, the coastal elites don't want the normal people to be on charged lemonade, because then they'll figure out their plot to destroy us all, you know?
Right.
Mm-hmm. That was a joke. But because that's gone, we're going to need other forms of inspiration, right? We're going to need other things to kind of motivate us to, attack the day, accomplish our dreams and goals, right? So here's another way that you could maybe get inspired. Here's if charged, if the chemical makeup of charged lemonade is a little too much for you, perhaps could I interest you in an inspirational speech about 9/11?
Oh my God. Yeah, let's do it.
This is from the AP. Bills head coach Sean McDermott apologizes for referencing 9/11 hijackers in team meeting 4 years ago. This is good.
I'm trying not to laugh because I don't want to be like disrespectful.
No,
but,
no.
Like, I read the whole.
Please, you can laugh. Please.
I read the whole article and I was baffled, but I was laughing. Like I genuinely was laughing. Like it was kind of like what we talked about last week with like comedians getting canceled. It's like what topics are on the table and what topics are off the table. It's like a Michael Scott. He's literally like when he's talking about, he's like, you can't make fun of AIDS, and he's like 9/11 like recently became funny. Like, you know what I mean? Like one of those things. So yeah, let's get into it. Give us the deets.
Yeah, so this is clearly a guy who might be a little morally compromised, but also somebody who like is so deep in the trenches of, the idea of a football guy is something. I'll very briefly explain a football guy because Sean McDermott is like a super football guy. Football guys, think about like Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, Jim Harbaugh, these guys, right? They literally, their entire life is consumed by football. If they're not planning for a game, if they're not coaching a practice, if they're not in a game, if they're not watching weight room workouts, if they're not watching film, if they're not scouting, then they're doing something football related. It is a 24/7, 365 job. Yep. It absolutely consumes their lives, and it absolutely destroys people. It almost killed Urban Meyer. God forbid that would happen. But he, it's like you never see your family. You never really, like, you're so disconnected from the real world is really what it is. Like, it's, imagine, like, you're like, oh, I'm 23 and I have a 40-hour week job. I never get to see my friends except on the weekends. Oh, I'm with my, whatever. My work consumes me. Imagine that times 3. That's a football guy, right?
Yeah.
So when he's saying these things, he's never expecting them to get out, but he also just has zero perspective about how insane this is because he's only around other insane people.
Right.
Okay?
And that's a good point. That's a good point to mention before reading what he said.
Just saying. Because there's a lot of, like, wild football guy quotes out there. One that I just thought of that's just, like, kind of funny is when Jim Harbaugh, who's the head coach of Michigan, the guy who got caught cheating, right, this year.
I met him.
You did meet him, yes. Shout out to Alex Leatherwood. He was in our high school class, number 1 offensive tackle in the country, went to Alabama. Nick Saban, Dan Mullen, Jim Harbaugh all visited our high school. I was jealous of that.
And I worked in the dean's office, so
you did.
He came in to get his visitor's pass, and I was like, oh, shit.
Okay, really quick before, was he like a very intimidating person in person?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Very intense?
Yes, and when I say I met him, I was just in the room, and he was talking because Alex Leatherwood was really good friends with Will Heaney, who also worked in the dean's office, and, like, promised him that he would bring, like, Jim Harbaugh by to, like, introduce him to Will because Will also was on the football team.
That's cool.
I just happened to be working there, so Alex and Jim walked in to say hi to Will, and I just kind of stood there like, oh, my God. I think I actually, I'll pull it up, and we can add it to
you have a picture with him, don't you?
No, not with him, of him. I was, like, behind the counter, and I, like, snuck a picture. So I never got the opportunity to be like, hi, I'm Kathleen. I just was in the room when he was also in the room. But I always tell people that I met him. So
okay.
It's just a little fib.
That is,
just a little
that's fun. All-time football guy, Jim Harbaugh. So when he first got hired by Michigan in 2007, no, it would have been before. I think like 2015. Let's call it 2015. 2014, 2015. He gets hired by Michigan. He has a quote in a press conference where he's like, I don't eat chickens because chicken is a nervous bird. I don't want any of our guys to be nervous in the game. And so, like, one of his first things as head coach was he went to, like, the buffet that the players eat at, and he took away all the chicken. No chicken.
You're kidding.
Swear to God.
You're kidding.
Swear to God.
Wow.
And he made he got like a grad assistant, like some lower guy on the football team or something, to basically try to commission the Michigan psychological or You know what I'm trying to say? The psychology,
Psychiatrist?
the like psychology department to do a
Oh, okay,
study on if people who eat more chicken or have more anxiety than people who don't. This is
crazy.
like football guy brain.
But that's the definition of like chronic anxiety. Like he, like, you know what I mean? Like he has so much anxiety about his performance that he genuinely thinks that he can't eat chicken because it's gonna cause him to have even more anxiety.
It could be.
Lunatic.
Yeah, it could be. Anxiety is not like a trait of a football guy, but it doesn't mean that he's not just suppressing it down like insanely. Right. You know, the whole thing about a football guy, you're supposed to be very stoic. You're supposed to be very intense, but very stoic, right? You got to lead young men. You got to lead by example, and you're gonna do all these. And again, like your brain is literally shaped like a football, right? Like you are. If you tried to do other jobs, you would look like an absolute moron. But this is the one job you can do, and it just so happens you can make like $5 to $10 million a year doing this job, right? Anyway, let's go into the article. Sean McDermott is definitely cut from the same. He's the head coach for the Buffalo Bills, has been for a while. And he's cut from this cloth. That's to set all this up. So let's get into the article. From Orchard Park, New York. An emotional Buffalo Bills coach, Sean McDermott, acknowledged regret on Thursday for crediting the 9/11 hijackers for their coordination during a team meeting 4 years ago. Oh, my God. McDermott had cited the hijackers while stressing the importance of communication. Upon realizing how his message was being interpreted, McDermott said he called a second team meeting an hour later to apologize to his players. Well, that's one of those, like, couldn't this be an email? You're going to bring all us back into the same room you just referenced 9/11 in an hour later to go, hey, guys, I dropped the ball in this one. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. And it's like, dude,
it's like, just
send out an email.
Hey, guys.
Hey, man, like, you know?
Yeah. Hey, guys, about the 9/11 joke. But again, email subject, about the 9/11 joke,
the 9/11 joke.
Yes. The 9/11 joke.
the 9/11, whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. McDermott had cited the hijackers while stressing the importance of communication. Called them a meeting an hour later to apologize to his players. And he planned to do so again with his current team on Thursday after an article posted on the Substack page of NFL writer Tyler Dunne, citing numerous unnamed sources, revealed what McDermott had said during the training camp in 2019. So this all comes from a bombshell article from an NFL writer, came out the other day, quoting former players, unnamed and named, basically talking about how like insane this guy is and like how insane playing for him is. Another example, I haven't read this whole article. I just read the first half. I don't know if this is in here or not. But one of the things he would do is, I think this was in 2021, there was a story of a woman who, like, her car, maybe she lost control, maybe she was intoxicated or something. I don't know the whole details. But she drove her car into Niagara Falls. And like, her car got stuck. This is real. Yeah.
On the Canada side or the New
US York side? Because they're in Buffalo.
That makes more sense. Oh, right. That makes more sense, yeah.
This is the Buffalo Bills, so presumably on the New York side. So she, like, drove into the Niagara Falls, and her car, like, was balanced on, like, a little piece of rock before falling in. And basically, like, a rescue crew did, like, a bunch of stuff to try to save her because, like, she was sitting in her car on, like, the edge. And ultimately, their mission was unsuccessful. And she died, I'm pretty sure. So I don't know if this is in this article or not. We'll find out together. But in 2021, he was doing one of these like motivational speeches, and he talks about like everyone trying to rescue her and like how big of a deal it was, and all his players are listening. And then basically it ended with like, and she died.
Right.
And they're all like,
cautionary tale, guys.
What was the point of that? They're all like, what?
That's funny.
She just died?
I'm glad that you said that this came from like a bombshell article just about him specifically, because that was like one of my questions when I was reading it, because I saw it's like this happened in 2019, and not that it's not still like like a big deal, but I was like, why is this coming back up, I guess? And so is it that people didn't know that this happened in 2019 and this article came out, and so it was like, oh yeah, well back in 2019 he did this.
Yes.
Or is it just resurface? Okay, so it's not resurfacing, it's just nobody knew that he said it, and it's just now coming out that he said this back in 2019.
Correct. Nobody knew any of this.
Okay.
Got it. Another thing was in the article is there's every like position has a coach who like leads that position on an NFL team. There's like a defensive line coach. There's like a wide receivers coach, etc. For the Bills, this was a couple of years ago, the wide receivers coach had like he was very beloved by the wide receivers, and so for Christmas they bought him a truck. And apparently it like pissed off Sean McDermott so much that they liked him so much that they bought him a truck. He's like such an old school hardo guy where he's like, you're not supposed to like your coach. He's supposed to coach you. Another thing was all of the offensive linemen for a game came out wearing Jordans for like to go on the flight or like for pregame or something. And Sean McDermott was like, that's not gritty. Offensive linemen don't wear Jordans. You have to wear boots.
Oh.
And so the starting center wore a pair of boots, and then he drew the Jordan logo on it to like spite him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Anyway, but this is by far like the funniest thing that came out. So that's why it's such a big story. Not only was 9/11 a horrific event in our country's history, but a day that I lost a good family friend. And here we go, citing like, hey guys, I lost someone pulling the black friend card. Like, hey,
right.
I know someone who died in 9/11. So
yeah.
You don't think I know that it was bad, right?
Right. Or it's like using that as like, I have the right to talk about this and joke about it because I was affected on a personal level.
Right, right. Quote, as I mentioned to the team then that I regretted and apologized for me not going. What, dude? This is. Sorry. Quote, as I mentioned to the team then that I regretted and apologized for me not going a good enough job of communicating my point. That's nonsense. I'm going to do the same with the team today, he added. Quote, so if there's anyone new, they understand how important that it is to me and my family because it's an important event, a horrific event in our history. He's just going to make them watch like a documentary about 9/11.
Right. That one documentary that they show all of us in school. Like the same documentary we watched from kindergarten to 12th grade.
He's be like, guys, you see those jumpers? They didn't have enough grit to stay in the building.
He's like, those, right? Oh my God, it's so bad. He's like, they didn't have enough dedication. He's like, they didn't communicate enough. See, they didn't communicate enough with the people inside the building, and that's what happens when you don't communicate.
McDermott emphasized his point by tapping the podium several times. That means he's really serious. He's like, damn it, 9/11 was a big deal, and I did lose a family. I'm just moving my webcam more and more, banging the table. I shouldn't do that. But like, so he really cares. Quote, well, not quote, but continuing on the article, he paused on several occasions, choosing his words carefully while tears welled in his eyes because he saw his paycheck disappearing slowly but surely. He's like, God, I really like my house. I don't want to have to move out. The article cites McDermott as referencing the hijackers as a group of people who were able to get on the same page to orchestrate attacks to perfection. That's what he said. Quote, I'm going to read that again. The hijackers as a group of people who, again, like, I don't know if this is AP or not, but like, this is not, like, I'm a good reader, and this is so hard to read his quotes. Like, listen to this. The hijackers as a group of people who were able to get on this. Sorry. Whatever. The article cites McDermott as referencing, quote, the hijackers as a group of people who were able to get on the same page to orchestrate attacks to perfection. God. McDermott did not dispute what was reported about his comments during the meeting. He first became aware of the report through the team's vice president of communication, Derek Boyko, and felt it necessary to address the subject right away. Hey, Sean, like someone's whispering in George Bush's ear, but it's Sean McDermott. Mm-hmm. Hey, Sean, they found out about the 9/11 speech. He's like, The 49-year-old McDermott is in his 7th season in Buffalo, where he's credited for transforming a losing. Okay, that doesn't matter. That's just like stuff about his football career that's not relevant. But the other thing, this isn't in this article, but like the quote from the main article that came out was like, yeah, he tells that story, and the quote about the hijackers being on the same page is a good form of communication. And one of the things in the article, and I wish the AP put this in, was he was like, what was the biggest obstacle facing those hijackers that day to stop from their goal? And one of the players said TSA.
Oh my God, that didn't exist though.
It didn't. Yeah, it didn't exist. It was created because of that. Whatever. But
oh
like,
my God.
But yeah, it's like this is just like, and again, like for the player to just like chirp back that quickly, it's like, oh God, here goes Sean again. Okay, man, we get it. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, man, sure. Oh. Another 9/11 reference. Real creative, man. And they're all like just over his shit.
It's like they walk into like their training room where they're like have like the big whiteboard where they're going over plays, and there's like 2 whiteboards, and one of them has like the outline of an airplane and the other one has like an outline of an airport. And he's just like using that as an example. He's like, so the hijackers did this. He's like, see, this was their process as they were going through security. And then once they were on the plane, this was their communicative process to hijack it.
Breaking down film from the security cameras.
Literally, though. They're like watching Flight 93, the movie, and they're like, guys. He's like, all right, team, movie day. And it's literally Flight 93.
Wait, slow that down. Run that back. And he pulls out like the telestrator. Like, he creates a block here. And then he runs this route. I mean, look at that communication. Like, they're on the exact same page. Hey, Josh Allen is their quarterback. Hey, if you could have that same communication with your wide receivers, maybe we'd win a couple games.
Maybe.
Like, that is how deranged, like, some football guys are. That is how deranged, in general, just some people are. Is like,
well, and is that the kind of hope like is that kind of the like point of this, right? Is like that then that is, I'm guessing that's why you started off being like, this is what a football guy is like, this is the level of insanity that they have like about football, is that they're literally leveraging or using 9/11 as a way to coach their team better. Like, is that kind of like what we're like, is that our angle?
It's the main
Leen Show today?
That is the angle. It's our angle, but it's also like the angle. Yeah, is they'll use any form of motivation to gain an edge. That's the thing. Is like, I mean, another great football guy is Bill Belichick, and he's cheated God knows how many times in the NFL. He used to just film other teams' practices before, like, you know, iPhones were a thing, and it's like, well, they won't know. Right? I mean, he like deflated the footballs in a game to make it easier to throw in the rain. You know, like so many other things we don't even know about. It's like there's always, it's the only thing that matters is the game. And if you're winning at the game, like, everything else just doesn't really matter. And so in his mind, he's like, okay, so all I have to do is reference 9/11, and then that'll fire the boys up, and then we'll beat the Patriots. That's all he cares about, you know? Right. Oh, we got a big game on Sunday. Oh, okay. You know, it's actually like a very similar job to like a pastor or like a preacher, where I'm not saying like a preacher is going to like reference 9/11, that he might, but like, it's all about like, you know, you have to like come up with these like motivational speeches, right? You have to like, you have like, you have mic time, right? It's like, you know, you're going to have a speech prepared, whether it be like pregame, maybe like the day before, a couple days before, whatever. Like, you got to prepare something. And so if you're going to prepare something, you might as well, you know, or like, you know, you're going to write about things on your mind, right? You're going to write about like, you know, how many times are you in church and you're like, you know, y'all, I know the Crimson Tide lost yesterday.
Oh my God.
But you know what you didn't lose is your house, your family, your connection with Christ. And that's what really matters, you know?
Yeah.
You know, maybe if, you know, I'm trying to think. Hold on. I almost have it.
You'll find it.
You know, you can blame the Bama quarterback for throwing that interception, but you really should be blaming Judas for turning his back on Jesus Christ.
Oh, my God.
You know?
Hey,
and guess how that turned out? Not as bad as the game. It's just a game, folks. But Christ is your life.
It's very Baptist of you. Well, you're Baptist and you're you're not Baptist. We go to the same church. LOL, guys. We go to the same church. I don't know why I thought you're Baptist, but I was gonna say that tracks because I feel like a lot of Alabama fans are Baptist. So it's a very Baptist preacher thing to do to talk about an Alabama football game. But I do have a good way to, well, not a good way, but I do have a way to wrap the show up today if you're ready for that. If not,
sure,
let me know.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so everybody, little tragedy happened yesterday. I don't know if you guys have heard it, but our boy T-Pain was in a big car accident in Miami. Did you see this?
Oh no.
Yeah, so he is okay as of this morning. He is okay, but T-Pain, man, the Leen Show, we just want to wish you the best. We're wishing you health. We're sending prayers and thoughts your way. We're sorry about the Tesla. You know, all T-Pain was doing was trying to get off the interstate. He was T-boned by a Tesla. The details of the Tesla driver's state of mind have not been officially released, but T-Pain suffered some pretty serious injuries, so we just want to wish you the best, man.
I don't mean to community notes this quickly, but I can find nothing about this.
I just saw it, like literally on ATL Scoop.
I'm not seeing
that's
anything.
My news source. ATL Scoop. T-Pain, Miami. Dude, it just happened. Oh my God. It was 2 Chainz.
Okay,
it wasn't T-Pain.
Okay,
it was 2 Chainz. Cut it.
Is that a racism you just did, or?
Dude, no. It's just this is just me being me. Me being just a little bit wrong, right? Like I'm circling it, but it was 2 Chainz.
Oh
my bad. Cut that if you want.
I'm not cutting that.
And I wrote down on my notes, T-Pain, Miami car crash.
Oh, God.
2 Chainz. Let me just start over. Our boy 2 Chainz was in a tragic car accident in Miami.
It wasn't tragic. He didn't die. Oh, I'm sorry.
2 Chainz, we wish you the best on the Leen Show here.
Okay. You know I'm not cutting that, right?
I mean, leave it in if you want to leave it in. I'm just trying to put positive energy out into the world, and I'm sorry that I can't get my facts straight. But 2 Chainz, if you hear this by any means, we're sorry for what happened to you. We're glad that you're okay, and I'm wishing you a speedy recovery.
Oh my God!
From both of us here at the Leen Show.
Yeah,
2
yeah,
Chainz.
speedy recovery. I'm different. Yeah, I'm different. And pull up to the scene with a silly missing. Classic. Yeah. Love you, 2 Chainz.
Love you, 2 Chainz. Sorry, T-Pain.
T-Pain's fine. You're fine. T-Pain, don't get in a car accident the next 2 or 3 days, please, or ever.
Yeah, for real. Celebrities always die in threes.
Is that true?
I don't know. It's like a 30 Rock quote.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
Well, is this the right time to bring up the other big piece of news that you broke to me last night, which is Wikipedia shutting down?
Yeah, sure. I already look like an idiot, so tell him what I did.
Well, so you went to Wikipedia and they asked you to donate? Was that what it was?
Yes, they told me in the world of AI that the whole Wikipedia is threatened and that I needed to donate $2.75. I was trying to read the plot of Lovely Bones, and because I keep getting all these TikToks about Lovely Bones, and so I was like, all right, I'm not going to watch the movie. I'll just go read the plot, which I've said on the show before. I do that a lot. Movies that I know I'm not going to watch, I get on Wikipedia because they usually do a good job, like listing out, pretty much frame by frame the whole plot of Wikipedia. And it was blocking me. It kept asking me to donate. And so I was like, damn. So I texted Lee because I thought it might be a good story for the podcast. I was like, hey, man, have you heard that Wikipedia?
Oh my fucking God.
Me just spread. I was like, hey, man, have you heard that Wikipedia is like shutting down? And you texted me back and you were like, what are you talking about? I was like, yeah, they just asked me to donate $2.75. Like, I'm pretty sure like they're getting shut down. And you were like, that's just like not true at all. And I was like, oh, my bad.
Well, they've always done that.
Oopsie.
That's how they run it's like a foundation that runs the wiki websites, and they're entirely based on volunteer work and donations. You don't have ad blocker?
Okay.
You don't have an ad blocker to stop that?
On my phone?
Oh, your phone. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, that was another moment where I'm like, TikTok search, Google, Wikipedia shutting down, Wikipedia controversy, Wikipedia, and I found nothing. And I'm like, what did she think happened? I'm like, I was dying to know, like, what happened, like, what even could, and it's like, oh, she's asked you to donate. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that's what they do.
Yeah, I just love spreading misinformation. I literally love it. And that's what I was doing last night. I'm texting everybody. I'm like, oh my God, everybody, Wikipedia's shutting down. But no, it's good. We're good. You can still read the plot lines to your favorite movies on Wikipedia, so.
Cool. Fair enough.
Cool.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap up right there. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you're listening on Spotify, thank you so much. Please consider leaving us a 5-star review if you got a laugh or a cry or, learned something this episode.
Or if you think I'm an idiot, give us a 5 stars for that, too.
No one thinks you're an idiot. We just think you're maybe a little eager to break a story. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, sure. No, I'm just too quick. I'm too quick I jump to conclusions. I'm not an experienced journalist. So I read something once and I'm like, yep, I'm just going to go with that.
And I think also like your brain does kind of just delete details.
Yeah.
Randomly. And then so when you're like trying to recall it, it'll like fill in something that didn't happen, but you can't really tell the difference between what you read and what your brain is like filling in, right?
Yeah, my family is really going to appreciate you saying that because I think this is something I've been doing since I was born. So my family's probably going to be like, yep, that's Kathleen. That's what she does.
Well, you can only be who you are. You can't be anyone else. So
true.
Might as well embrace it.
Be yourself. Everyone else is taken.
I love it. Great quote. So, if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. Please consider, liking and subscribing to the channel. Thank you to Glazed Eyes for letting us use their single "Way Down" off their now out LP titled. I should have had this prepared. So sorry. Off their LP Holding Out on a Dream. So sorry. Let me do that again. Cut that.
Sure.
And thank you to Glazed Eyes for letting us use their single "Way Down" off their now released LP Holding Out on a Dream, which came out on December 1st. Congratulations to them for their first LP release. Go check them out on Spotify, Glazed Eyes. And please follow us on Instagram and TikTok. We are about to hit 200 followers on Instagram. Thank you guys for that. We've got some big plans for 2024, I'd say.
Yeah.
Some we've discussed together, and some that I've been cooking up that we can figure out together. So 2024 is gonna be a big year for us, I think.
I think so too.
I think it's gonna be the big year. Kathleen, any final thoughts?
Nope. We'll see you guys next week.
See you next week. And if you've been listening this long, I'll give you the scoop. I'll give you the tease. On next week's episode of the Leen Show, Leen Show Idol is back. Episode 2. Yes! I'm officially announcing Leen Show Idol. The week 2 of Leen Show Idol will be next week. It's been a little bit, so we're going to remind you of our current Hollywood ticket holders, and we'll see what they're up to. Clay Sutton's been really active on the socials personally, him personally. So, you can look forward to that. And see you next week, and see you every week. Play us out, Glaze.